True miracles are the dedicated people whose care and commitment to service excellence make a difference in the lives of Martinsville, Henry County residents and in our neighboring communities, one patient at a time.
Well, I'm on a school tour right now, which is one of my favorite parts of being Miss Virginia. I'm sponsored by the Virginia Department of Alcoholic Beverage Control, but I talk about everything I wish someone had told me. So I talk about domestic violence, I talk about drugs and alcohol, and also bullying, which is a very hot button issue right now. But I'm having a great time. I just got to see the preschoolers, and they're all so cute, and I'm looking forward to my stay in Martinsville.
Now, perhaps some of the high schoolers were a little reticent to ask the questions, but the preschoolers don't seem to want to hold back. They had a lot of questions for you.
Well, my mom was a preschool teacher for several years, so I'm used to it. I actually did an elementary school last week, and someone asked me if I lived in a castle. So I think they're a little confused about the crown and sash, but that's okay.
When you talk to high school kids, do you see sort of a disconnect between the media that they absorb and their own lives, or do you see those two beginning to bleed together?
I think they're definitely combined, and that's one of the first things I talk about is the fact that nobody in the room is 21, but yet they've been bombarded with messages in the media that tell them that binge drinking is cool. So we talk about examples of those messages, and once you can see that connection, then you can disconnect it on your own.
You talked about being a student, a four-year college student, about making changes in your major, about the difficulties that you had along the way, plus waiting tables. No one would look at you and imagine that you had those sort of life-changing decisions over the last few years. Do you think that these kids will be able to relate to you on that level?
I hope so. I mean, you can't judge a book by its cover, and that's taught me a lot about judgment being Miss Virginia, because I know that people judge me with the crown, and they see the blonde hair and, you know, pretty smile, and they think that I'm probably snobby or whatever, but I love to talk to these kids because I do think that I'm on their level. And so telling them that, yeah, I did change my major 4 times, and it took me 5 years to win Miss Virginia. Nobody's perfect. You've got to have perseverance in your life if you're going to succeed.
And when you come to this portion of Virginia, can you compare to the other areas that you visited so far, just in terms of its general tone?
Well, that's the one thing I love about Virginia, is that it is so diverse. You've got industry in Northern Virginia, and then where I'm from at the beach with tourism, and then I live in Roanoke now, which Miss Virginia always lives in. This reminds me of Roanoke. It's got a small town feel, but everybody here is so friendly and welcoming, and so I love Martinsville.